Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artark. Today we're going to show another one of those games that doesn't necessarily follow the pattern that all the others follow. I'm going to be doing a video shortly that is going to focus on the 4 builds I think you need to know if you want to get to Hyper Tier before the end of the season. This is not one of those builds. This is more just if you want to have some fun and follow what the game tells you to do. But before that, graphic. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. You know we do Hyperroll lives on the weekend starting noon Pacific time. And with that said, let's get started. Now, this game had handed me a 2-star LUX before I even got to see the first augment. So in my head, I'm going, yep, I want to go down that line. Celestial Blessing pretty much can work with almost any build, but anything that's going to pour out power, it'll work especially well. Once I got an Annie, I knew I wanted to head in a Spellslinger direction, but just as a general tip, if you are able to 2-star a champ early, go ahead and put it in. You can sell that back for the same 3 gold you invested in it, so you're good to go at that point. And as we speed through the first couple of fights, I just wanted to explain how we ended up resolving the entire client wouldn't work problem. Turns out that Riot's latest patches are incompatible with some modem router combinations, and our ISP had to switch out the modem router combination that we had for a separate modem and router, and that fixed it. If you're having problems with the black screen, it might be that it's because you have a modem router combination. Riot swears it isn't them, but it's only happening with their game, so yeah, you decide. And as you can see at this moment, this game is not really going all that well. It gave me the 2-star LUX. It hasn't really followed up on that with anything. It now just threw a bunch of Lulus at me, so I'm kind of debating which direction to go. And just as I was thinking about pivoting away from LUX, Gary's like, no, look, I got you. Here's some more LUXes. Just stay with the program for now. It might hurt a little bit in the beginning, but you might be happy with the outcome in the long run. I'm really not sure because this is getting really ugly really fast. But by the time I'm headed into the second augment, I've now got a gold 3-star LUX, so I've got to be able to do something with this. I know she's just a 1 cost, but she isn't completely weak. We then get prismatic augments. Featherweights was a slight temptation, but I'd rather roll to see if I can find new recruit, because that will allow me to make a bigger team. I'm going to go ahead and just load LUX up. Hextech Gunblade, blue buff, Rabadons Deathcap, so she has power, healing. Now I'm looking for my Star Guardians so I can start to build them up. That way, everyone's getting a lot of mana. And as you will quickly see, at 3 stars with the right items, LUX can absolutely just pop things. She hits them, they go down, and she destroys the damage charts. We went ahead and put an Ionic Spark onto Annie because that will reduce the magic resist of those near her, which will allow LUX to do even more damage. We end up facing off against a duelist team that has gone full bore with 2 emblems, but LUX doesn't care. Pop, pop, they're all dead. I was asked in a live recently which 1 cost I thought was the strongest champion when brought up to 3 stars, and I really hesitated to answer because I felt that any of them could be with the right items, and LUX is kind of proving that here. Heading into the final augment, I was hoping for hero augments, and then specifically for Easy being green, because Neeko is the final Star Guardian that I need, and Easy being green comes with a Spear of Sojin, which will also give her more power. So she gets an AP buff just by the fact that we're putting a Spear of Sojin on her. LUX still remains one of the strong parts of the carry, but adding the Morellonomicon onto Neeko allows her to just wreak havoc in their backline, and Annie, well, we're going to turn her into the super tank up front so she can hold things in place while LUX and Neeko go to work on them. Now, this team is pretty tough. They're running a mech build, and Draven can be deadly, but not necessarily with those items. Luckily, our front line holds up. It allows our back line to get in, and LUX to lead in damage. And although this match looked really shaky from the start, you can see once it came together, yeah, I had to trust Gary. And I'm sorry, best kind, but even though they went for the Aurelian Soul augment, that Aurelian Soul has got to go. Normally, I like to rely on Neeko to be the carry, but LUX is doing a really good job. And in looking at items, we just want to continue to beef up Neeko a little bit, so the Rabadons Deathcap will give her more power. Opening the anvil, some interesting choices, nothing really fits perfectly. We're already covering Ionic Spark with Annie. ZZ Rot could hold things up, but I decide to go with the additional health. We've also, of course, brought in a Twisted Fate, because you kind of have to this season, don't you? I think it's in the rules. And again, who's the strongest 1-cost 3-star? It's really about items and situation. Any one of them could be, and LUX, who nobody really likes, still managed to lead the team in damage, and thus lead us into the top 4. And once you have all of this power together, it becomes hard to beat, even with similar teams. That's the Star Guardian Quick Draw style build, but between LUX and Neeko, we are able to just bomb them into submission. And we're looking for how to finish this off, and up until now, Kai'Sa hasn't really been a force on this team, so we might as well go ahead and grab the Syndra over there, put her in instead of Kai'Sa. That keeps our Star Guardians in place. Then we can fill our bench with champs that we want Syndra to fling into the battle. Final 2 item choices, and I actually make a mistake on this one. I just have it in my head to put Sunfire Capes on Ekko because he gets in the back line. I had forgotten I had the Morellonomicon on Neeko, and it doesn't stack. So that, yeah, shouldn't have done that. But Spear of Sojin on Syndra is definitely a good way to go. We 2-star the Syndra, and then since we had Shen for Defender and Twisted Fate for Duelist and Spellslinger, why not grab Ezreal, create Infiniteam, throw Ezreal on the portal, and get even more damage across the board? And this build has now entered kind of an extra level of evil, because this is a really, really strong team we are up against, but Syndra is able to fling in one of the Fiddlesticks who can wreak havoc on their backline, just as our LUX and Neeko can. They are left with their Misfortune, who tries really hard but just can't do enough damage. We now face off against a super mech team, and by super mech, I mean, yeah, it's supers and mechs with 4 gold 3-star champions. They show an Urgot on the left side, so I want to move things over and apart, not just for that, but also to stay out of a Draven ult. LUX and Neeko have been going back and forth as to who's leading the team in damage, and it's really been the 2 of them who have been controlling this match, so I don't want both of them to go down to the same thing. They ended up pulling out their Urgot in return for a 2-star Nunu that is going to wreak a lot of havoc in the backline. But again, LUX, Neeko, just working together, are able to do a ton of damage. We can get ahead of the Draven. We're spread out, so he can't just eliminate us. We take them out, a Ghost handles the other, and it's GG for everyone. This is a fun build. I don't necessarily encourage forcing it. There's a lot of problems with doing that, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely, absolutely awesome day.